my boy, Bob Burg, is about to join us on GMAP. You're listening to the Best Of series. This is Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First. You do have that book by now, right? And the co-host of GMAP, Grow My Accounting Practice. Bob Burg is the author of The Go-Giver and The Go-Givers Sell More, along with other phenomenal books. And Bob comes on our show to explain why accountants and bookkeepers are best served by contributing to their prospects and clients first. You know, go giving. Enjoy.
Today, right here, right now, this is the moment that you will finally say,
I'm growing my accounting practice. And you're going to discover exactly how right here, right now on the Grow My Accounting Practice podcast.
Episode 78.
We were a little off topic.
I know, a little bit.
We recovered.
I tried slowing it down.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, I'm Ron Saharian, co-founder of Profit First Professionals.
Now we're way off, right? And I'm Mike Michalowicz, author of Profit First and co-founder with Ron of Profit First Professionals. And you, our listener, you're listening to GMAP. This is a show where we talk about growing your accounting practice. It could also be called GWAP, GYAP, Grow Your Accounting Practice. But we call it Grow My Accounting Practice. And we teach you the step-by-step to growing your accounting or bookkeeping practice. And we also give you an action step right at the end of the show. We call it the GMAP Now task. If you do this, you will grow your business. But we're not done there. We throw in more bonuses. We have the psychology of the sale. And of course, the mainstay of the show is we interview a phenomenal guest.
Awesome guest.
The awesome guest. And last week was Jennifer Hoddle. This week is Bob Burg, author of The Go-Giver, Ron.
And everybody, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, and of course on growmyaccountingpractice.com.
Yeah, that website is our kind of like our top 10 hit list. And there's lots of cool stuff that you can find up there. Ron, do we have any community shout-outs you want to share today?
Yeah, I actually want to shout out Beyond Your Books, Karen Della Ripa and Rich Straight. Talk about a wonderful organization. Recently met with them over here in New Jersey as well. And they're really making a difference to those that they serve. I mean, talk about an organization that is dedicated to your success. And they were just sharing some stories with me about some of the companies that they helped. And the thing about Rich and Karen is they're very holistic, very, very giving. And so that's why I believe that shouting them out today is kind of in line with what we have going on.
Yeah, they are givers. Actually, Karen was sharing a story with me about summer camps and how this has become an important facet of their business. They serve other types of businesses too.
Right. But
she explained that summer camps are, from her experience, the most important foundational educational tools outside the parents themselves. And these can form lives. And I said, well, why do you know so much about it? And she grew up through summer camps and actually found her career through summer camps.
Yes.
Found her confidence. She explained all these things. So her organization is focused on the nuances of being a profitable, sustainable summer camp.
Wow.
So
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. So shout out to you guys. I also want to thank our corporate partners before we bring our guest on. These are the people that have been so kind to reach out to us and support us to make sure that this show is sustainable.
Yeah. So thank you, Zero. Thank you, Receipt Bank.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nextiva.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fundera.
Oh, thank you.
And of course, thank you, Fundbox.
Thank you, Fundbox.
Thank you, Fundbox.
Thank you, Fundbox. Yeah, so we will tell you about Fundbox and Fundera, Nextiva, Receipt Bank, and Zero all at the end of the show. Perhaps they're perfect solutions for what you're looking for, or perhaps they're the perfect solutions for your clients. His name is Bob Burg, Ron.
I know.
He wrote The Go-Giver. He's written other books. Go-Giver is my favorite. He has a gaggle of books. But I think my favorite thing about Bob is that he is the epitome of a gentleman. So I run into him. I shared this one facet of the story a long time ago on the Profit First podcast. We run into each other. We're both speaking at this event hosted by a common friend named Michael Port, a phenomenal guy himself. And first time I'm meeting Bob face to face. I've talked to him on the phone before. He supported me in many ways. He actually endorsed the Pumpkin Plan. He's endorsed my most recent book, Profit First. And we're about to meet for breakfast. So this is like the big moment. I'm about to meet Bob. It's early. It's like 6:30 a.m. There's a breakfast session, and then there's a limo taking us over to the event.
A limo?
Yep. I'm sitting there. It's me, this other person. I can't remember her name at the moment. And we arrive early. Bob comes a few minutes late. And I'm in a t-shirt. Bob comes in a suit. And as he comes in, it's like E.F. Hutton has spoken. Like everyone turns and looks. He walks in. And I noticed that every time a lady would enter the room or get up from the table to go somewhere, Bob would stand every time. Every single time.
Wow.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's the pure gentleman. So then, you know me, I'm like, I got to test this guy out. How gentlemanly is he? Because I noticed also this young lady we're sitting with, as we're eating, her utensil fell on the floor. He instantly jumped up, got it for her, gave her a new fork, and then returned the other one to the waiter. So I'm like, this guy is you got to crack the gentleman. Like, I got to break this. So you ever see magicians when they put like a dollar bill on the table and it starts to move and they're like, ooh, no hands because they're blowing on it gently. There's like a corn chip. So I start blowing it to the edge of the table. And it's sitting there. It's teetering on the edge of the table. And when Bob stands up for the next lady that comes in the room, he stands up. I blow. The corn chip falls off the table. So something will hit the floor. This guy, the reflexes on while standing, he kicks out his right foot. He hooks the corn chip on his shoe and careens it back in. So it never even touches the floor. That's how gentlemanly he is.
Did you eat the corn chip?
I don't know. I did not eat the corn chip. I wasn't going to touch that thing after I touched Bob's filthy shoe. Bob, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike and Ron. And I got to tell you, Mike, you are giving me too much credit.
For being a gentleman?
I appreciate that and everything, but you're making me sound, like one of these just really nice guys who I would greatly admire. And I know I don't, so
so it can't be true,
right? So it can't be true.
Yeah. I told you he's humble too.
Right.
Mike is also very sneaky. He's sort of like the
he
Eddie
is
Haskell of the speaking business. He's giving us these tasks we have to say these secret phrases while we're speaking and fit them in and everything while nobody else knows. So it's kind of an adventure hanging out with this guy.
Yeah. We at the beginning of the event, we all had to. I just said everyone's got to say a funny word on stage. His was, I think, tug my ear. He had to say something and tug his ear while he was doing it. Mine literally was menstruation. I had to use the word menstruation, and the other young lady, I can't remember what the term is that we gave her, but whatever. It was fun to horse around. And Ron, just you read Bob's book, The Go-Giver Sells More. You read The Go-Giver, but there's also The Go-Giver Sells More. Bob, throughout all your books, it's always about contribution, and contribution not with the expectation of return, but giving for the sake of giving. And ironically, ultimately, that brings back the most to us. How does this work?
Well, it basically ties into human nature, and let me explain why this is. And whenever I speak at let's say a sales conference, I'll often start out by saying, nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet. They're not going to buy from you because you need the money. And they're not even going to buy from you because you're a really nice person who believes in their product and think they should buy. Not at all, and nor should they. They're only going to buy from you because they believe they will be better off by doing so than by not doing so. And the only way you, as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, are going to be able to communicate this is by focusing on them genuinely and authentically in such a way that your only goal is to provide value to them. And when you do that, they are going to feel good about you. They are going to trust you. They're going to most likely respect your judgment and understand that doing business with you is the best option for them. And so, it's not that you say, yes, I'm going to do this because it's going to. No, you just do it because that's what you do. But you understand that it's that when your focus is on genuinely and authentically providing value to others, people are going to want to do business with you. So there's nothing magical about it. There's nothing mystical about it. It actually makes very logical sense.
Bob, last week we had a guest on, and she was talking down a similar vein, specifically around networking. She said, you got to go out And when you network, it's all about contribution and giving. And then the question back was, but some people are takers.
Right.
What if they just want the free service? You're talking even more holistically. You're saying all elements of your business is about contribution, but don't people take advantage of that?
Well, yeah. Well, one of the things that we need to really understand is that being a go-giver, if you will, should never be confused with being a doormat, should never be confused with being a martyr or being self-sacrificial. Absolutely none of that. And it's not a matter, certainly, of giving away things for free. There can be certainly strategies and tactics where you give some value away in the form of a special report or some type of service for someone to get used to what you do and be able to gain confidence in you. But you're certainly not allowing yourself to be taken advantage of in any way. So that's not what it's about. What I'm sure she was talking about is simply, understanding that, and as we say in the story, as one of the mentors, Sam, tells Joe, the protege, that the golden rule of business, of sales, of networking, if you will, is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And there's no faster, more powerful, or more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you from others than by genuinely and authentically moving from what we call an I focus or me focus to an other focus, looking for ways to make their life better, easier, whatever it happens to be, through your product or service.
But we live in like hyper speed time. So listening to the show, there's countless accountants and bookkeepers who have deadlines thrust upon them. Technology is becoming more advanced. They have to get answers to their clients quicker. When you got to move, there isn't time to contribute or give. What's your thought about that?
Oh, I don't think there's time not to contribute and give. But again,
that was a slap to my face.
That was
a slap. That was not gentlemanly at all. That was
No, but remember, we've also got to define what we mean by contributing and giving. It's not that if you're doing something that is hurting your business, well, that's not something to do. Remember, we don't want to be self-sacrificial about this,
right?
But no, but what your job is to, as a bookkeeper, as an accountant, what have you, is to be able to communicate to others the exceptional value, the exceptional customer experience that they're going to gain by doing business with you. And I would say there's not enough time. You don't have the time to not do that. You must communicate that.
So let's talk about this industry specifically. I can only assume that you work with an accountant. Perhaps you have an outsourced bookkeeper too. What can they do from your experience on the customer side to be a go-giver?
Well, there are ways to, and let's discuss these specifically, ways to communicate that additional value. Because let's face it, by and large, like any product or service, we live in a world and in an age of commoditization. Most products they work pretty much the same. Most accountants and bookkeepers are they're using your profit first system. So obviously they bring a lot more value to the table just by the very nature of doing that. But until a prospective customer or client understands that, they don't know there's any difference, right?
Right.
And so they are right now looked at as a commodity by the prospective customers and clients. And as you know, when a prospective customer or client doesn't see any significant difference in potential suppliers, it's always going to come down to who has the lowest price or fee, and that's not
right.
what we want to do. A go-giver does not sell that way. A go-giver focuses on communicating value, not selling on price. In fact, I would go so far as to say that unless your last name is Walmart, trying to make low price your unique selling proposition is not a productive way to do business, right? When you sell on price, you're a commodity. When you sell on value, you're a resource. So the question is, well, how do I communicate that additional value? How do I communicate that I'm more than just someone who's going to keep their books, do their taxes, what have you, like my competitor would? And while there are probably hundreds of ways to communicate that additional value, they tend to come down to 5 what we call elements of value. And they are excellence, consistency, attention, empathy, and appreciation. when you look at just, let's say excellence, aside from just being excellent at what you do, and maybe you are able to communicate that through a special report, through a video, through, some way in marketing, a strategy or a tactic you can use, that's fine. But we would also say that excellence is communicated in how you make people feel about themselves and about you at every single touch point in the process, from the time they meet you, which may not be in your office. It may be at some, cocktail party or charitable event or Chamber of Commerce meeting or whatever it happens to be. How do people feel when they're around you? How do you and your team, if you have people working for you, greet people, make them feel? How do you put them on hold so they feel comfortable and good? Do you greet them in a way that they're made to feel special? And so all these things you do in creating that experience has to do with the excellence you're communicating.
Right. Wow. Well, an example of that, I was visiting one of our members, and they actually own Mark Fisher Gyms. It's a health and fitness studio. I went in there, and it was unbelievable. Everybody stopped what they're doing, turned to me, introduced themselves to me, said hello, asked how they could help me. Yep. It was such a great initial customer experience that I believe that is exactly what Bob is talking about, because, it's not necessarily what you say, but how you made them feel. And they made me feel so welcomed. Mm-hmm. And if you know me or seen me, I don't often visit a gym. So
that's a perfect example.
Yeah. Is that programmed in, meaning is that scripted?
That is part of the culture. And, and as we know, while anyone can lead from any position, a culture of leadership comes from the top and trickles down. And if this is something that the leader communicates consistently and lives, this is going to be the culture. And what happens is when you walk into an environment like that, not only do you feel good about yourself and feel good about them, but you also feel that's how they're going to perform professionally. And we know that, and I remember reading this first in T. Harv Eker's great book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, when he said that how you do anything is how you do everything. Mm-hmm. Well, that's how we look at others as well. And if we see a company and we experience a culture that treats people like that, we assume that they are professional, not just in the way they greet us, but in the way they do everything.
Got it. I want to go through all of these ways that we communicate value. So you had 5. Excellence was the first. What's another way an accountant or bookkeeper can communicate value?
Well, consistency was the second. And this is very important because it's not a matter of being excellent sometimes. It's a matter of understanding that we live in an inconsistent world, and yet, dating back to the cave person days, we crave consistency in our environment and crave consistency in others. Back in the days of the cave person, when every day was a matter of survival, okay, you had to know what was in front of you and what it meant, and it had to mean the same thing every day, every week, every month. You needed to know that the bent twigs meant this, or the footprints meant this, or that, sound in the distance, that animal was, either a potential dinner or perhaps a potential diner, right? You had to know, and you had to know what it meant. That's consistency. And back in the days when we were struggling, when every day was life and death, that was very important for obvious reasons. Well, we certainly don't have those life and death reasons now. And yet, that's been, as the saying goes, hardwired into our DNA. And we feel much more comfortable with a person and, of course, with a company when we know what to expect. We've all had those experiences, those people we know who are one way one day and totally different another day. And right. And don't we feel kind of defensive and like we don't know what to expect? Even the restaurant that you go to and that has great food and service sometimes. And yet, and other times, not so much. You don't trust that. You'd almost rather eat somewhere where the food isn't quite as good, but it's always the same. Hence the reason why franchises are so, are so. And we always use the example of McDonald's, right? They don't have the greatest tasting hamburger in the world, but boy, it's going to be the same whether it's in Natick, Massachusetts, or Jupiter, Florida, or Butte, Montana, right?
It's a consistent crappy hamburger.
Yeah, they're not that crappy.
Right. Yeah. And so. And so that's important. And so consistency is another way to communicate that value. There's attention to detail. Attention is the third one. And Harvey Mackay wrote a great book years and years ago. It was his first of many New York Times best-selling books. It was Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive.
Oh, I love the book.
Yeah, and I remember he told the story about his envelope manufacturing company, McKay Mitchell Envelopes, how you talk about a commodity, right? I mean, as Harvey wrote, in the fascinating world of envelope manufacturing, he wrote, there's not a whole lot we could do that our competitors couldn't do as well. Well, very true. But what he did is he had this thing called the McKay 66, and this was before the day of computers where it was even easier to find out about people, where he would have his salespeople have a list of 66 facts that they needed to find out about their prospective customer that had nothing to do with the person's business or about envelopes. It was, the names of their family members, ages, dates of confirmations, bar mitzvahs, what sports they play, where the college was that their prospect went to, and everything about them, right? And what happened was they got to know these people so well because that sort of forced them to really genuinely find out about them, and they paid attention to them not just as prospective customers, but as human beings. Mm-hmm. And Harvey's salespeople constantly outperformed the competing salespeople. So attention really has a lot to do with it. Attention also has to do when you're a salesperson. It's understanding that, and as an accountant and as a bookkeeper, you are in sales. You are selling your accounting services. You are selling your bookkeeping services. And please don't think of selling as a bad word. Selling is a great word. Most people don't have a problem with being salespeople. They only have a problem being what they think salespeople are supposed to be. And if you look at selling as being something you do to someone, as opposed to for someone, yeah, you're going to have a problem with it. If you look at selling as trying to convince someone to buy something they don't want or need, of course you're going to have a problem with it. So instead, understand that selling, by definition, is simply discovering what the other person needs, wants, desires, and helping them to get it. And that's what you do as a seller of accounting and bookkeeping services. You are discovering their needs, wants, and desires. That's selling. And to do that, you must pay attention to them because it's not about you and it's not even about your services. It's about them and what they're looking to accomplish or gain through your services.
And you probably find commonality. If you know 66 points on someone else, you may find out you went to the same high school or college, you grew up in the same area, you have the same interests. And I presume, Bob, that forms stronger bonds, stronger connections.
Oh, it does. Absolutely. And so, in any time that you have a commonality, that's certainly a fantastic thing. And what
does that lead to empathy? The next one?
Well, the next one is empathy. And empathy...
does it lead to it?
Yeah, well, empathy is a key. I mean, I really think that empathy is probably the most important selling skill, the most important life skill. And empathy, while it's defined as the identification with or vicarious experiencing of another person's feelings, what it means is you're communicating to that other person that you care. And you're trying to identify with this person's challenges, and you may not know exactly how they feel because they come from different experiences than you do. But empathy means you are doing your best to communicate that you may not understand exactly how they feel, but you understand they're feeling something and that you are on their side and wanting to help them through it. And remember, you know your business. This person doesn't necessarily know your business. They may have questions, but they're afraid to ask those questions because they don't want to appear to be ignorant, or they don't even maybe know the question they should be asking. When you're empathetic, and again, you're paying, as you said, right? You're paying attention, and that leads to that empathy. Mm-hmm. When you're empathetic, you can then gently let this person know that, you are certainly there for them. And if you have a question that I just haven't answered out of my own, just not understanding, please feel free to ask, and when you do that, now this person feels a lot better.
That's a great point, especially in the accounting and bookkeeping world. Being empathetic to the situations of the businesses is paramount. I mean, statistically speaking, most businesses are not doing well, and it's very difficult for a business owner to literally pick up and move to somebody else and open up that hood and car and see how nasty that engine is versus being a V12. So being empathetic is absolutely a great way to help you grow your accounting practice.
Yeah.
But okay, so if you're empathetic, could it come across as insincere? Now, a lot of accountants and bookkeepers, great at the numbers. That's why we got into the business in the first place. Not naturally comfortable with the relationships with other people or navigating that. If I say, how are you doing? How is the business going? And I can understand that you're struggling. If you don't say the right tonality, maybe it comes across as insincere and almost like you're trying to manipulate the situation. How would someone navigate that?
Yeah, well, that wouldn't be how would I say this, a good thing.
Right.
No, you want to be...
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
To the rescue.
Faking empathy is not a good thing.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Faking sincerity, right?
Right.
And so, no, so that is important to be genuine about it, to authentically care. Now, fortunately, empathy is a skill. It can be developed. Now, some people have a very natural sense of empathy, and it doesn't even need to be developed. It's just there. Other people, not so much, but that's okay. Because if you know this, if you're conscious of this, if you're aware of this, you can take the steps. And so what you might need to do is put yourself into an empathetic state by, asking, gee, what is it that would make you uncomfortable, yourself, and being able to feel that kind of feeling. If you want to call that method acting, that's okay. Now, is that insincere? Not at all, because what you're doing is you are genuinely trying to feel what that other person is feeling. So again, you don't have to feel exactly how they feel because you might not. But you can still understand their feeling something and empathize with that.
What's the fifth and final? Give us some details on the fifth and final way to communicate value.
Yeah, this is appreciation. It's having that sense of gratitude for everyone you meet, for your customers, for your would-be customers, just for the people in your office, for everyone. There was an accountant in Michigan, the Detroit area, and she would have when someone was coming in, when a new client was coming into the office for the first time, and there was someone in her office who was really good with calligraphy, so they had this whiteboard in the office that they put on the wall. And so on the day the person was coming in, the calligrapher, the person in her office who was good at that, would write, welcome first-time client, and then the name, right? And then they'd actually put fresh flowers around it. And so forth. So when this person came into the office, they were made to feel like $1 million. They certainly felt appreciated. And don't you think they went back and told other people about that? Now, this separates you from your competition by a small act of doing something like that. But it's also writing a handwritten thank you note to people who do something nice for you. It's saying thank you to people. So just having that attitude of gratitude, it just is a huge difference maker because people want to be around people like that.
And it's nice that it can be systematized like that you can repeat the same process but still make it unique.
Well, that's important. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ron, he leads our membership recruitment efforts here at Profit First Professionals. And one thing, a new method you guys just developed is whenever Bob would join our organization, we'd send a custom video. I'd send it. We'd say hello. But now we're actually talking about doing a ceremony. And this is going to be happening where we have a huge map on one of our far walls in the office where we identify where people are from. And doing like a little ceremony, saying, hey, congratulations, welcome to the family. We put the pin in the board. We have a little birthday cake. Maybe it's the same type one every time and say, well, it's a birthday. We're now together, or maybe it's a wedding cake. But making a ceremony out of that, is that another way of showing appreciation?
Oh, I love that. I think that's fantastic. And just think how special that person feels, and everybody else sees that as well. And so, yeah, I think that's awesome.
Now, how would I address this? The people who have already been certified that didn't receive that, they're going to say, hey, how come I didn't get that kind of video or shout out?
Yeah, and you're probably thinking the best thing to do isn't to say, hey, tough luck, buddy.
Sorry, pal.
No, it
How
would
do you
be
do
like,
that?
oh, I'm sorry. We just came up with it.
Yeah. It's a it's a good question. I think it's you kind of smile and there's not a whole lot you can do with that one. But I think they'll appreciate the fact that you're always trying to make the experience better and more worthwhile for people. But that's one of those. If someone really, really wants to be offended, practically nothing's going to stop them.
Right. Now, one of the challenges that accountants and bookkeepers face is the lack of appreciation shown for their hard work and the value that they actually do over time.
Mm-hmm.
And how do if you're in a thankless environment for a long time, is there any advice that you could provide our audience to become more appreciative, even of those clients who are jerks to you?
Well, I think there are two issues in a sense, because one, you're saying the accountant or bookkeeper themselves is not appreciated, correct?
Yep. Correct.
And so, people don't know really what they do. And it is important to communicate that value, even the value of the work that you're doing. Now, you can't obviously come out and say, hey, this is, I'm doing this and I did this and this is valuable, because that's just you saying it. Right. By the same token, you've got to be able to quantify and qualify what you're doing for people, and so that they do know. Also, when you do have a client who has shown appreciation for your work, or who, when you ask them about it, when you ask for feedback and they say something really nice about you, it's fantastic to be able to capture that on video, with your little iPhone or whatever you have, or whether it's written or whatever, so that you can always have those up there for people to see. Right. It is important to be able to get the laudits and get the applause, not for your ego, but as a marketing tool. Right. As far as the people who, don't treat you well, that's, again, there's nothing about in being a go-giver that says you should be a doormat, and I would hope you would not allow yourself to be treated as such. But at the same time, people are people. There are customers that are difficult, and there's ones that, hey, you still you put up with what you can put up with, because that's how people are people. Right. And as long as it's doesn't fall into abuse, then that's what you do. But certainly you want to get to a point where you have so much business, and especially so much referral business, that you're able to fire your customers when they don't act themselves according to in a way that's congruent with how you want to be treated.
We got time for one more question, and what I wanted to ask you, Bob, is if I do all this, I am providing excellence throughout. I'm consistent. I'm giving attention to details, appreciative of my clients, showing gratitude, empathetic. All these elements. I'm an active go-giver. And then it's now time for the ask. I ask the client for the business, and maybe she does her due diligence and she looks at competitors, regardless of how much I serve them during this initial process, and the competitor's cheaper. What do I say when my price is higher than the competitors, even after this?
Right. Well, here's the thing. If you have done the presentation itself, okay, at this point, if you have done the discovery correctly, and the discovery is the first part of the presentation, and you have correctly discovered their needs, wants, and desires, and you have repeated that back to them in a way that you've nailed it and they know you've nailed it, you should be able to take price right out of the equation, because you should be able to communicate through your presentation that you are the person. Okay. So so in other words, if at the end of your presentation they say your price is too high, or I can get it cheaper, then there's a really good chance that you have not correctly or effectively communicated your value.
I see. Yeah, that goes back to a concept we've been talking about, Bob, throughout the show, called value-based pricing.
Mm-hmm. And consultative selling.
Consultative selling. What is the value you're delivering, and that's what the price should be based upon. Bob, as always, thank you so very much for talking with us. I really enjoyed your insights.
Yes, thank you, Bob. I did as well.
Oh, my pleasure. Always love speaking with you guys.
And why don't you tell our listeners where they can find out more about you?
Sure. Just visit The Go Giver, in this case without the hyphen, thegogiver.com. And you can scroll down, subscribe to the podcast if you'd like, and check out the books.
Oh, you are the best. And I encourage anyone that's able to get down to Florida to take you out to lunch just to test you out on your gentlemanship.
Maybe he'll pick up the tab too.
A true gentleman would. All right, Bob. Okay, so Ron, just in a second, we're going to summarize what we learned from Bob. You're going to deliver a Psychology of the Sale tip. I'm going to deliver a GMAP Now task. But first, I want to thank our corporate partners who make this show a reality. They are true gentlemen and gentlewomen, and they are Nextiva. Can I start with Nextiva?
Yeah, start with Nextiva.
Okay, I'm sorry, I jumped on you, but
No, that's right.
I'll start with Nextiva, and you take one, I'll take one.
Yeah.
Nextiva is a voice over IP phone system, but it is advanced technology. Every single day, the phone is advancing. And I'm not saying that you just download new software and there's new functions. The core functions stay the same, but the abilities keep expanding and expanding and expanding. You buy a Nextiva phone system, just like we did. The next day you have it, it's new. The next day you have it new. It's like the Tesla. The Tesla automobile gets updated constantly. That's how Nextiva has developed their system. Cutting edge constantly.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Tesla of the phone industry.
Yes.
Yeah, you got it.
What do you got?
Well, what I'd like to really thank is Fundera. Again, this is an organization that is going to educate you and your customers on what products they may need for funding or financing. So they really are an educational type of company. So a lot of business owners, it's difficult to navigate the business loan process. What kind of loan do I have? Do I use a broker? Do I not use a broker? Do I go to a bank? Do I do alternative lending? Do I just run up credit cards? Well, dial the folks over at Fundera. They'll have a great conversation with you and educate you on the different options that you have and come up with the best solution for your personal needs. So, give the guys at Fundera a call.
And I would love to thank Xero. Xero's cloud accounting software is developed originally on the cloud. It's probably the only accounting software out there, or at least on the mega platform, meaning it's distributed globally, that was developed from the start on the cloud. What does that mean? More flexibility, more capability. And one of my favorite things in Xero, we are users of Xero, when there's a number I have a question about, I can click on it and it immediately connects me with my bookkeeper. It sends a message to them saying, Mike has a question about this number. If you're a bookkeeper, if you're an accountant, have your clients on Xero, and the communication barrier between you and them has been removed. They don't have to pick up a phone. They don't have to feel awkward. They click on a number, you give them an answer, and you're working with your client.
I want to thank Receipt Bank. Actually, today I decided to buy the company pizza. So I said, all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Go out, Brandon, go buy a couple of pies. I gave him my credit card. He went out there, got it, came on back. I said, hey, dude, do me a favor. I got to go up into the podcast. Here's my phone. It was open. Snap a picture of this on Receipt Bank for me.
Oh.
He was like, really? That's it? I go, yeah, awesome, isn't it? He's like, I got to download this. I'm like, yeah, you do.
He doesn't have one? Okay.
No, he just started.
Yeah, that's true. He's the new guy. Meet Fundbox. I want to thank them. A wonderful company that does wonderful things with cash flow acceleration. Now, I know you have a client right now who is saying, I just need to get some money in quick. I got these invoices outstanding. My clients aren't paying me. What should I do? And usually you sit there and go, blah, 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 blah. Well, no more. Now you say, let's connect with Fundbox. Fundbox will release those funds to you typically within 24 hours. That means sometimes even faster than that, but the typical turnaround, 24 hours, the money is in your wallet, in your pocket. Your client has collected the money. Now, the nice thing is they get to continue that collection with the client. You don't have a collection agency or something like that. When you get the money in from, or your client gets the money in from their client, they simply return the funds to Fundbox plus a small fee. A wonderful way to accelerate cash flow.
Yeah, and please, when you reach out to these folks, tell them Ron and Mike sent you.
Yes.
You might get a prize.
Yeah.
And the prize
you might get a prize.
The prize last week was what?
Well, this is true. Nextiva gave away a free phone system.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they gave away to, I think it was one of our members. I can't remember.
You're right.
But we asked Nextiva, would they grant a wish? And we said, the next client that calls in and asks for a wish, would you grant it? And they said, sure. And they said, we need 3 phones. And they didn't know they were going to get them for free. And Nextiva did it for free. Listen, you're not going to get a free phone from Nextiva. That was an anomaly.
Right.
But say they were sent by us and see what comes out of it.
Yeah, you're going to get educated.
Yeah.
Minimally.
Yeah. No, something will come out of it. It sounds like a downer when we talk about it, but it's awesome. Reference us. All right. Now it's time for us to summarize what we learned, Ron. Give me your big tip from Bob.
Yeah, I've got about 3 pages worth of notes. But one of the things that really resonated with me, and it was a difficult transition for me to become from corporate to entrepreneurial life. And when you first hear about, the go-giver and giving and giving and giving, that's kind of not what corporate is all about. So it was very difficult for me to understand that concept. So reading Bob's book really helped out. But here's something that really, really resonated with me. You don't have to be a doormat. You don't have to be a martyr. You don't have to self-sacrifice in order to be a go-giver. So that was something great. Another thing is, if you're being looked at as a commodity, you need to do more. You need to really be out there and communicate your additional value. And Bob laid some awesome tips on us, from excellence, attention, empathy, appreciation, and consistency. Boom, the 5 points right there. Oh,
yeah, boom.
You're not going to be a commodity if you're doing this.
Now I'm scrambling over my notes because like 10 of the tips I wanted to use, you used on me.
Right, thanks.
We got to communicate what you are doing for your client before, during, and after. A lot of us communicate before. Here's what I will do for you, but not the during and after. Mm-hmm. And Bob kind of snuck that in between the ropes there, and I was really impressed by that. All right, Ron, time for you to pull out that lightsaber.
I got the yellow one today.
What was that?
The yellow one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh.
So what do you got for us?
All right, I want to talk. This is actually a 2-part psychology of the sale, Mike. 2-part.
Oh, bring it.
So today's going to be the first part. One of the things that I want to relate motivation, influence, and psychology into the plant world. Okay, so this is actually a theory, the flower theory of persuasion, and we're going to go over the first 3 steps during this one, and it's great because I love gardening, and as I was studying this, I realized that there's elements of this within the pumpkin plant. Mm-hmm. Great book, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, absolutely.
You're a good man.
So number 1 step is understanding the plant. Different plants need different conditions. Some are hardy, some will grow in any conditions. Others may be killed by frost, overwatering, or various different conditions. If you don't understand the plant you're trying to grow, you may easily and accidentally kill it. Now let's translate this over to people. The first step when speaking to persuade other people is to learn as much as you can about them. Understand what drives them, the pressures on them, and the effect on this. Understand their personalities, their preferences. Understand how they may negotiate and what trades could be possible. As much as you can know about them can only help you. The next one is you got to prepare the ground. Plants. For a plant to grow well, it needs the soil conditions that suit it. The gardener hence digs, fertilizes, otherwise takes care to prepare the ground in which the seeds will be sown. People, if you're going to negotiate, find a place, a room, think about the seating, the layout, and so on. If you're selling, ensure that you have all the literature, demonstration models, and so on, so that you might need. Also, prepare the person who you are persuading. Ensure they are interested in negotiating before you negotiate. Get them in the mood to buy before you sell. It's no coincidence that much persuasion happens over the dinner table. Okay, yeah.
Very true, especially when you got chicken bone in your mouth.
You look like you combed your hair with a chicken bone.
I did.
Today.
I know.
All right, step number 3. Sow the seed. Plants. Sowing the seed is not just a matter of plunking the seed in the ground. It may need to be a certain depth. It may start off indoors before planting out. It may to be planted at a certain time of year. Guess what, folks? Same thing with people. Do not jump into your persuasion techniques or scripts when they're not ready. Choose the moment. Tell them new things in learnable moments when they're open to ideas. Think hard before and about those key words and phrases that you will be used. They should be short, memorable, make perfect sense to the other person at the moment that you utter them.
There you have it. There you have it, Ron. Thank you so much. All right. Now, here's the deal. We lost Corey. The system went down, but we're still rolling through. So I'm taking over the soundboard, Ron.
Awesome.
So instead of the usual Eye of the Tiger build up to the GMAP Now task, instead you're getting this one. That's right.
That's that guy diving off the diving board.
Yes.
Great commercial.
Great commercial. So funny when he gives that little girl his sunglasses. I love that commercial. Well, this is the GMAP Now task. This is the task that if you do it right now, you will see results in your business. Now, this is easy. Every call going forward, I want you to write this and paste this right next to your phone, or if it's on your cell phone, just maybe paste on the back of your cell phone. Here's the question I want you to ask yourself before each call. How may I serve this person without expecting anything in return? That's it. Every time before you start a call, ask yourself, how may I serve this person without expecting anything in return? And I'm talking, this is your spouse, this is a prospect, this is an employee, this is your boss. I don't care who it is. How may I serve this person without expecting anything in return? Do that for 30 days and watch the magical returns. Because I don't have a bomb, I do have a Chewbacca.
Okay.
Yes!
Boom!
Yes!
New Star Wars just came out.
I know.
I didn't see it yet.
Oh, Krista won. She's like crazy. We have to see it on opening night or something.
Oh, really?
Or did it open already? Because she said opening night.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe she saw it already. I'm not into movies that much like that. So maybe she went with her friends and ditched me. But she was jacked.
Wow. Well, everybody, I hope their time was fun today. Many of you are walking, driving to work, and I just want to thank all of you listeners for joining us on today's episode. You can review us and rank us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes Radio, and of course, the Profit First Professionals blog site.
Yeah, please do rate us. That's an important thing for us to spread the word. And if you want to drop a 5-star, we're not complaining. We're not complaining, but do what is fair and appropriate. And definitely give us your feedback there. It helps a lot. All right, Ron, there's one more place people got to go. I mean, actually, this is the place where it all should start. ProfitFirstProfessionals.com. This is an organization Ron and I started now 2.5 years ago. We just had a meeting about this, celebrating our 2.5-year anniversary. And we set out with a simple vision. It's our purpose to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. There's 80 million small businesses out there that are surviving check by check and don't have guidance. They have accountants and bookkeepers, but they don't have the guidance from an accountant or bookkeeper who can elevate them to the new levels of profitability. That's Corey now calling me on my phone, so we're disconnected.
Well, back to our mission, and poverty doesn't need to be tolerated. I can't stand it. So help me, help you, help your customers. Let's eradicate this bad boy. Let's help all the businesses out there generate a profit so they can hire people. When people can hire, they have jobs. When people have jobs, it relieves a lot of the stress from the home life.
And I want to talk about the side effects. Even you buy a drug, they have a disclaimer, like if you take such and such drug, you'll have a heart attack and you'll die. Your innards will eat you out.
Right.
Eat yourself. Well, here's the side benefits of Profit First Professionals. A, your clients become more profitable. B, you become more profitable. C, you become consultative and are not trapped by the 2020. In the 2020, we did a whole episode dedicated to the 2020. What is that? In the year 2020, that is the believed turning point where computers start replacing accounting and bookkeeping on a global level. Right now, it's already happening at the large systems are doing it. There's been lots of experts, Ron Baker, Joe Woodard, Martin Bissett, sharing that the technology is getting cheaper and more effective, and the AI, the artificial intelligence, is taking over our roles. So the side benefits of becoming a Profit First Professional, your clients are more profitable, you're more profitable, you're more consultative. We believe it's a game changer. So go to ProfitFirstProfessionals.com right now, click on the Become button, and see if it's appropriate for you to become a Profit First Professional. If you want to take the next step, then we'll have a little conversation. We'll explore it together. And if it's a fit, it's go time, baby. It's go time. It's go time.
Well said.
All right, coming up next week.
I'm psyched. This is going to be a good one.
Wayne Schmidt.
Hey, Wayne.
So Wayne Schmidt will be joining us. We want to see you there. And in the meantime, keep doing what you're doing right now. Just do more of it. If it's exercising while listening, if it's binging on our show, you can do that. And some people are listening to us, they tell us in 2x now. Can you imagine listening to guys that talk as quickly as us in 2x? Some people are actually pulling that off.
Now we'll talk like this for you 2Xers.
Go! All right, let's get out of here.
Adios.
See you.